Hi class, today we will learn on the last chapter, which is chapter 7 on animal tissues and plant tissues. So, what is tissue? A tissue is composed of closely associated similar cells that function together in a specialized activity, and tissue are combined into functional unit called as an organs, and groups of organs that work together form organ system. And remember, organisms have sets of organ system including humans. For an example, digestive systems consist of a stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and other organs, and each composed of these organs are composed of different kinds of tissues. So in animal tissues, there are four types of tissue. We have epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Meanwhile, plant tissue also divided into another four tissue, which are meristemic tissue, dermal tissue, ground tissue, and vascular tissue. So first type of animal tissue, epithelium tissue. So epithelial tissue, also known as epithelium, will forms a continuous layer or sheet that covering the body surface or lining a body cavity. So its main function is actually for protection, absorption, secretion, and also for sensation. So let's look further on all of these functions. So for protection, the epithelial layer of the skin, which is the epidermis, will cover the entire body of the organism, and it will protect the organism from mechanical injury, chemicals injury, the bacteria, and also fluid loss. Meanwhile, absorption is referred to the epithelial tissue that lining up the digestive tract to absorb the nutrient and also water into the body. For secretion, some epithelial cells will form glands that will secrete cell products such as hormones, enzyme, and also sweat. For sensation, the epithelial cells are sensory receptor, as you can find mostly on your skin, that will receive information from the environment, either which is referred to the outer which is referred to the external stimulus. So epithelial tissue can be divided based on two factors. First is based on the shape, and next is based on the number of layer. For types of epithelial tissue, based on the shapes, we have three shapes of epithelial tissue: squamous tissue, cuboidal, and columnar. Squamous meaning to say the shape of epithelium is thin and flat cells like a flagstone. Meanwhile, cuboidal looks like a short cylinder that from the side it will appear like a cube shape of dice. And columnar meaning to say the cells, epithelial cells or a tissue looks like a column or a cylinder when you view it from the side. For the types of epithelial tissue based on number of layers, we have a simple epithelial tissue, squamous, stratified, and also pseudo-stratified. Simple meaning to say it is only composed of one layer of cells. Stratified has more than one layer of cell, and pseudo-stratified meaning to say it do not have a real layer, so it falsely appear layer, and although all all its cells rest on the basement membrane, but not every of the cell will extend itself to the exposed surface of the tissue. So let's look further. So this is squamous. As you can see, squamous, it looks like a flat-like cells. For cuboidal, it looks like a dice, and columnar, it looks like a cylinder. So for simple simple squamous epithelium. Simple mean only one layer, so you have all you see here is only one layer of cell. Meanwhile, stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal, and also stratified columnar, it made up from more than two layers of cell, or more layer of cells. And then last but not least is that pseudostratified columnar epithelium. As you can see, pseudostratified, they do not form any layer, so it looks like one layer, and sometimes it looks like two, okay, and so on. So as you can see over here, remember, not all cell in pseudostratified will expose itself to the surface like this one. Okay, so let's look on the function of each type of this epithelial tissue. For simple columnar tissue, okay, remember, simple mean it make up from the cell the cell is made up from only one layer, and squamous meaning to say the tissue are composed of flat cells. Okay, so it is a single layer of flattened cell with D-shaped central nuclei here and sparse cytoplasm. It is the simplest epithelium. So it functions to allow the passage of material by diffusion because it is very thin, and also for filtration inside where the protection is not important. It will also secrete lubricating substances in serosel. So the location, you can find this inside your kidney glomeruli and capsules, the air sacs of your lung, which is referred to your alveoli, and the lining of your heart, the blood vessel and lymphatic vessel, and also it make up the lining of the ventral body cavity, which is referred to the serosate. Next is simple cuboidal epithelium. Simple cuboidal epithelium is a single layer of a cube-like cell with a large central nuclei. So its function is also for secretion and absorption, in which its location, you can find it in the kidney tubule, the duct and secretory portion of small gland, and also on the surface of the ovary. For simple columnar epithelium, a single layer of tall cell which is look like a cylinder with round or oval nuclei, and some of the simple columnar cell, they possess a cilia and some may not. Okay, and its layer may contain a mucus secreting unicellular cell, which is referred to the goblet cells. So it functions for absorption, secretions of mucus, enzyme, and other substances. And if they possess a cilia will help to propel the mucus by ciliary action. So the location for non-ciliated simple columnar epithelium, mostly they will make up the lining of the digestive tract, the gallbladder, and also excretory duct of some glands. Meanwhile, for the ciliated type of simple columnar epithelium, they will make up the lining of the small bronchi in your lungs, the uterine tubes, and some regions in the uterus. Okay. So for pseudostratified columnar epithelium, it is a single layer of cell with a different height here, and some of them may not reach or may not expose itself to the free surface, as you can see, like this one, okay. And nuclear cells here you can see at different level, and some of them may contain a goblet cells, okay, or possess a cilia. Okay, so its function for secretion, particularly for mucus, and also propulsions of mucus by the ciliary action. So location for non-ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium, you can find it in the male sperm carrying duct or duct of large glands. Meanwhile, for ciliated type of pseudostratified columnar epithelium. It will make up the lining of the trachea and mostly at the upper respiratory tract. And next, we have stratified column squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium is a thick membrane composed of several cell layers. As you can see here, it's very thick, and its basal cell, okay, at the bottom, are cuboidal in shape or columnar in shape, and they are very active. So the active, meanwhile, the surface cell here, it is a flat cells, okay, which is a simple cells and squamous, and in the keratinized type, there are two types. In keratinized type, the surface cells are full of keratin and also dead cell, and the basal cells are active in mitosis and also produce the cell of the most superficial layer. So its function to protect the underlying tissues in areas that subjected to abrasions or frictions. Okay, so location for the non-keratinized type of stratified squamous epithelium, it will form the moist lining of the esophagus, our mouth, and also in on the vagina. Meanwhile, for the keratinized variety of stratified squamous epithelium, they will form the epidermis of our skin and a dry membrane. So, for stratified cuboidal epithelium, generally they have two layers of cube-like cells, and its function is for protection, and you can find it in the largest duct or sweat glands, mammary glands, and salivary glands. For stratified columnar epithelium composed of more than one layer of cell, and the basal cell at the bottom here, usually cuboidal in shape, and the superficial cells at the upper part are elongated and also columnar in shape. So it functions for protection and also secretion, and it's very rare in the body, in which you can find it only in a very small amounts in the male urethra and also the large ducts of some glands. So for last but not least, we have transitional epithelium. Transitional epithelium resemble both stratified and also stratified squamous and stratified cuboidal. And the basal cell at the bottom here are cuboidal and columnar in shape. Meanwhile, the surface cell, okay, it looks like a squamous, and in some time it will make up a dome shape because it depending on how does the organ will stretch itself. So its function, it will stretch readily and permit the extension of urinary organ by contain urine. So its location, it will make up the lining of the ureter, the bladder, and also part of the urethra of the kidney. Okay. So next, the second type of animal tissue, which is connective tissue. Connective tissue consists of relatively few cells that separated by intercellular substance composed of fiber that scattered throughout the matrix. So it functions by referring on its name, which is to connect. Of course, its function is to connect and to join the other tissue inside the body, to support the body and its organ, and also to protect the underlying organ, mostly the very important organs such as the lung and our heart, and also our brain. Okay, so connective tissue divided into two types. We have proper connective tissue and specialized connective tissue. And under proper connective tissue, we have loose connective tissue such as areola, adipose, and reticular. Meanwhile, for dense connective tissue, we have regular and irregular. For specialized connective tissue, including bone, blood, and also cartilage. So let's look further on the function of each type of this connective tissue. So, connective tissue proper, under connective tissue proper, we're gonna look on the areola, which is under the group of loose connective tissue. So areola is a gel-like matrix with all three fiber types, and it also contains cell, fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cell, and also some of white blood cells. So it functions to rape the important organ and also act as the cushion for the organs. Okay, so meanwhile it macrophages help to phagocyze the bacteria, and also it play very important role in inflammation, and also areola will hold and convey the tissue fluid. So its location, it is very widely distributed under the epithelial of the body, such as it will form the lamina propria of mucous membrane. It will help to package at the area of package organ and also surrounds capillary. For adipose, and also under the group of loose connective tissue, adipose is also a matrix as in areola, but they are very sparse and they have a closely packed adipocyte, okay, as you can see here, or a fat cells, okay, the white in color here, and it also have a nucleus that will push to the side by large fat droplets. So it functions to reserve the food fuel to insulate against the heat loss and also to support and protect the organ. So the location, you can find it under the skin, around the kidney and the eyeballs, within the abdomen, and also in breast. For the last example of loose connective tissue, which is reticular. So for reticular is actually a network of reticular fiber in a typical loose ground substance, and reticular cells lie in the on the network, as you can see over here. Okay, the darker in color. So its function, the fiber of the reticulum will form a soft internal skeleton that will support other cell types, including the white blood cell, the mast cells, and also macrophages. So the location, you can find it in the lymphoid organs. Okay. So next, dense connective tissue. The first one, we're gonna look on the dense regular. So dense regular tissue primarily parallel collagen fiber, as you can see here, it's parallel, and they have a few elastin fiber, and a major cell type that you can find in the dense regular connective tissue is the fibroblast. Okay, so it functions to attach muscle to bone or to muscle to muscle, or muscle to bone, to attach bone to bone, and also to withstand a great tensile stress when the force is being is being applied in one direction, such as in your tendons, most of the ligaments also. Meanwhile, for dense irregular, it is primarily irregularly arranged collagen fiber. They are not parallel in range. They're not a parallel arranged, and they also have some of the collagen fiber or elastic fiber, and also same with dense regular. The major cell type is the fibroblast, except for the arrangement is different and also the function. So its function able to withstand tension exerted in many directions. Meanwhile, for dense regular, they can only withstand tension in one direction. Okay, so dense irregular also will provide a structural strength. So location, you can find it on the dermis, in the dermis of the skin, the submucosa of the digestive tract, the fibrous capsules of organ, and also joints. Next, we're gonna look on the specialized connective tissue, which is the cartilage, bone, and also the blood. So the first one, bone. Bone is a very hard, okay, connective tissue, and they have calcified matrix that containing a collagen fiber. They also have an osteocyte here. They located in the lacunae, and they were very well vascularized. So its function, of course, your bones is to support your body, to make up the framework, to protect the important organ inside your body, such as the skull will protect your brain, the rib cage will protect your lungs, and also your heart. So it also to provide lever for the muscle to act on, um, such as the bicep and tricep, and also it helps to store the calcium and other mineral and fat. So the bone marrow is the site here where um, site where the blood cell will be formed, and the location, of course, bone is inside the bone lah. So for blood is actually referred to the red and white blood cell inside the plasma. Okay, so it functions to transport the respiratory gases, okay, such oxygen and carbon dioxide, to transport the nutrient, waste, and other substances. And of course, the location you can find the blood contained within the blood vessels, including the blood capillary, blood vein, and also the blood artery. For next is cartilage. We're going to look on the elastic cartilage. Elastic cartilage is similar with hyaline cartilage, but they are more elastic fiber in matrix. So it will help to maintain the shape of a structure while allowing a great flexibility. So its location, it support your pinna, which is your external ear, and also the epiglottis. For cartilage, so fibrocartilage matrix is similar to hyaline cartilage. However, they are less firm compared to hyaline cartilage, and they have a thick collagen fiber that predominate the structure. So its function, the tensile strength, they have the tensile strength with the ability to absorb the compressive shock. So its location, you can find it in your invertebral disc, at your backbone, in the pubic symphysis, and also your disc of your knee joint. Last but not least, we have hyaline cartilage. So hyaline is amorphous but firm matrix. They have a collagen fiber that will form an imperceptible network. They also have a chondroblast here that produce in the matrix, uh, and when mature, it will become a chondrocyte that lie inside the lacunae. So it functions to support and reinforce, and it has a resilient cushioning properties that will help to resist compressive stress. So location, it forms most of the embryonic skeleton. It will cover the end of the long bone in joint cavity, forms costal cartilage of the rib, cartilage of the nose, trachea, and also the larynx. So these are all types of the connective tissue. You need to look it by yourself later. So next, muscle tissue of animal. So muscle tissue composed of long cell called as a muscle fiber that are capable of contracting usually when stimulated by nerve signal. It is responsible function, of course, for the body movement. So we have three types of muscle tissue. We have skeletal muscle tissue, cardiac muscle tissue, and smooth muscle tissue. So skeletal muscle tissue, you can find it attached to the skeleton. Meanwhile, the cardiac found in the walls of heart, and smooth muscle tissue found in the wall of the stomach, intestine, and other organs. So skeletal muscle tissue, the movement you can control it, so the type of control is voluntary. However, for cardiac and smooth muscle, the movement of the muscle tissue is cannot be controlled, meaning to say involuntary, such as for cardiac smooth muscle that you can find it in the wall of your heart. You cannot control your heart, either you want to stop it from pumping or not, right? It will continue pumping, it will continue pumping without your control. Okay. So how about the shape of fiber? Skeletal, the fiber is elongated, cylindrical, but have blunt ends. Cardiac also has elongated and cylindrical fiber. However, the fiber do not have blunt end. Instead of, they have a branch and a fused structure. For smooth muscle tissue, the fiber, of course, same with the others, they are elongated fiber. However, it is a spindle in shape, not cylindrical, and they have a pointed end. So for striation meaning to say the stripes. As you can see here, this is referred to the stripe. You can see the dark area and the light area. Okay, dark and light, dark and white. That is called as a striation. So striation or stripe only present in skeletal and cardiac muscle tissue, but not in smooth muscle tissue. How about the number of nuclei per fiber? For skeletal, they have many nuclei per fiber. Cardiac, only one or two nucleus, and smooth, they only have one nucleus for each of the muscle fiber. So the positions of the nuclei is peripheral for skeletal fiber, meanwhile central for cardiac and smooth muscle tissue fiber. And the speed of contraction, the most rapid one is the skeleton, the slowest one is smooth. However, smooth muscle tissue has the greatest resistance of fatigue, and the least one is the skeletal muscle tissue. So, let's look further on the function of each type of the muscle tissue. So, for skeletal muscle tissue, of course, it involves voluntary action. You can control it. It's important for locomotion, manipulations of the environment, your facial expression, either it shows you angry, sad, or happy, and also voluntary control. So the location in the skeletal muscle, they attach to bone and also occasionally to skin. Next is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscles is involuntary control. So as it contracts, okay, it will propel the blood into the circulation. So remember, cardiac muscle can be only found in the walls of the heart because it helps to pumping your blood to the other parts of your body. For smooth muscle helps to propel substances or the objects along the internal passageway, such as your intestine and also your esophagus. Okay, so it is of course involuntary control. So the location mostly found in the walls of the hollow organ, such as your small intestine. So last but not least, nervous tissue of animal. Nervous tissue consists of elongated cell called as a neuron. We have three types of neuron. We have a motor neuron, sensory neuron, and interneuron, which are specialized for transmitting the electrical impulse, not a chemical impulse. And they do also have glial cells that support and help to support and nourish the neuron. So it functions to sense the stimuli, to transmit the signal in the form of nerve impulses from one part of animals to another. So let's look here. Nerves and neurons, which is either a neuron are branching cells, okay, they have the structure, they have a cell body. This part is called as a cell body that contains the nucleus. Meanwhile, the elongated part here is called as the axon to transmit the nerve impulse. Okay, and function for the neurons, of course, to transmit the electrical signal from sensory receptor to the effector, which is your effector will give response to the either stimulus, either internal or external stimulus, and it will helps to control your activities. So the location you can find it inside your brain, spinal cord, and also the nerves.